Hello viewers, Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot. I hope you're all doing okay today. You may have seen my previous reading on what are we learning, not what do we need to learn. We were there 12 months ago. I'm looking at what we're learning now. But this is more of a political reading, and I'm going to look at how the US is going at the moment handling that. Of course, that will vary from state to state. We'll have good examples, we'll have bad examples, but I think if it's anything like Australia, your strength is being seen in your governors. We are seeing very, very strong leadership from our state premiers. We call them premiers here in Australia, but they are the equivalent of your governors. And it will vary from state to state. We'll look at Trump, basically. How is his regime going? Fairly flat-footed in his response in hindsight. He knew about this virus, I think, in January, didn't he? We are now getting toward the end of March. Similar thing can be said for our Australian government, a fairly flat-footed response, ramping up now. Is that going to be enough? Are we ahead of the virus? Are we chasing it? I would say in the Western world we're chasing. The UK, very specific lessons there with Boris Johnson, initially coming out with a fairly cruel kind of strategy around developing the herd immunity, and of course, then following it up with, but by the way, anyone in the risk group should isolate themselves, through to, gosh, our hospital systems are going to be overwhelmed. Let's go back to another plan. Let's look at plan B, which is containment, isolation, etc. You know the story. What a gaffe. Well, it's not even a gaffe. What a mistake. Canada closed its borders, I think the last 48 hours, was it, to every country in the world other than the US. Australia is trying to bring forward a scalable response, scalable and sustainable response, with its economy at the forefront. And the reason that Australia is in that position is because we took a hit with the bushfires earlier on in December, January, and we've got a government trying to protect our economy. It's yet to be seen whether a draconian approach is what will protect the economy, or whether or not a scalable response will do so. Maybe we can look at that. The EU has completely closed its borders. We'll take a look at what's happening in the EU. The Trump government, I know I'm jumping around a bit, Trump government announced it was going to look at closing its border with Mexico, turning asylum seekers and refugees away completely, because they don't want those border camps infected. And they don't want their border patrol workforce to be weakened in any way either. There's these sort of decisions. There's going to be opportunities, political opportunities coming through with this pandemic. Does the border need to be closed? I think Mexico has only 82 cases of 19. I don't know. We'll ask that question. There are a lot of concerns around whether the election in November will go ahead. I've spoken about this before. That needs a constitutional amendment by Congress, or by the House, by Congress. It's not a unilateral decision that Trump can make. But we'll go there because he would be obviously seeking opportunities in what is going on. And finally, we've got fairly dire predictions for recessions, and an economist in Australia went one step further and said we could be facing a depression. All right, worldwide depression. So let's go to our leadership. All right, let's start with that. Let's start with the US. Trump's approach, the Trump White House approach to what is going on now with this virus. Is it effective? Is it containing? It's not, and for all those reasons that we've talked about. But show me, do they have a handle on this? Are they rising to the occasion as of today? Show me how well or otherwise Trump is doing with his response. The Page of Cups, too little, too late. But there is, the Page of Cups is an offering, albeit a page is not mature. So they're learning, and as I said before, they're not ahead, they're chasing. Let's see what the challenge is. Three of Swords, loss, betrayal. Sorry, we'll get similar cards here in Australia, so you're not alone. Too little, too late. The loss has already occurred. They're chasing. They're not in front. All right. Let's see. They're the signifier cards. Let's see what is the foundation of this reading is the Nine of Pentacles. It's trying to, again, like Australia, protect the economy. Again, I talked about the Singapore case study in my previous video. It is worth, if you do have access to the New York Times, reading that story about how well Singapore has done right from the get-go by staying in front of the virus. The Moon, it's interesting. I used to pull this card for Trump a long time ago. I always said that there were gold coins in that dark, murky pond. I thought it was his dealings with Russia. Now I am also thinking that the shadow that we couldn't see was indeed this pandemic, and his delaying has basically cost your country. The Ten of Wands, okay, he's carrying this heavy burden. Can he make it across? He's blindfolded. He might misstep at any time. That is the danger. And the Four of Wands in the immediate future. This is my card for community. It is my card for the Democrats. So I feel, again, that the cards, in terms of an update from my previous reading, are telling me the same thing. Too little, too late, a focus on the economy, trying to protect the economy, playing politics, refusing to see. Perhaps he knew what was there and he didn't come forward quick enough, I think. This again is taking people back to community, taking their focus. It's almost like he's irrelevant in some way. Looking closer to home, looking to the governors, looking to the mayors, looking to community structures, and not so much relying on the leadership of the country at this time. Pardon me. Right at the moment, we have the King of Pentacles. Now, the King of Pentacles, as you know, is my card for Donald Trump. He's still focused on the economy. He's still focused on the money, unfortunately, and the Republicans are doing the same. Are they not learning the lesson? The environment around is the Page of Pentacles, trying to stop that news that the economy is in trouble. That's where their focus is at the moment. And the hope and the fear, people really just don't trust him. I think the polls are bearing that out. He's lied in the past, and they think that he is lying again. And that, in turn, is affecting your economy. The King of Swords, the outcome, people are wanting objectivity. They're getting it. Wherever they see it, they'll gravitate towards that. They want strategies. They want the truth, and they want objectivity. The Queen of Pentacles, this is the economy. This is the economy. So it's showing that fairly strong measures are being taken or need to be taken right now to protect the economy, to protect money loss. Are they going to be successful is the question. Something is ending. Something is being judged. This is a karmic situation. We do have Trump's card in the Lovers. That, of course, is doing deals with others as well, with overseas countries. We've got the Seven of Cups. The Three of Wands, trade and commerce. But we also have the Seven of Cups. So I feel this is unable to make a choice. I think that, we looked at a reaction to protect people's health. I think he's faltering also in your economic stimulus package. The Seven of Cups is somebody that is trying to talk to the dragon. This person's gone into the cave. The dragon is terribly clever. And he just can't, because the Seven of Cups shows that he can't make a choice. So there's a faltering energy coming here. It's not just from the reaction, it's actually, the containment measures, but, the White House being flat-footed. This is also an economic response as well. Doesn't seem to be crystal clear, and that's what people are looking for to prevent money loss. But we do have, in the immediate future, people will be looking to their states, their state governors, their community infrastructure, their councils, for guidance, and they'll be getting it from them, less so from the federal government. All right, so the economy seems to be the biggest thing at the moment in the US. I know that runs counter to saving lives and protecting people, but Trump is focused wholly and squarely on the economy. Okay, so let's take a look at the UK. It's exhausting reading on this stuff. It really is, because these are very, very, just got lots of emails coming through. Let me just close this down, because these are very, very heavy matters, and that's why I don't want to trivialize it in any way. Let's take a look at the UK. Again, if you take a look at Boris Johnson, he's looking dishevelled. I pulled the Justice card for him yesterday. This is a test. I put that quote on my last video because all of these leaders are being tested, and they're being tested right in front of our eyes. Okay, so in other words, their frailties are on display, their Achilles heels are on display, their weaknesses, their lies, their characters. It's like an emergency situation, and people have suddenly started taking notice, and I feel this is what is energetically a problem for Boris Johnson. He can't smooth talks, his way out of this. All right, so I'm getting a sense of confusion, a little bit of confusion within him as he grapples with something that is a little bit beyond his experience or even his capability. He's not a mature leader. He's not a Winston Churchill. Okay, so that just came out. All right, so show me what's happening in the UK. Again, I'm going to the various parts of the UK will have different, will have their own responses. Scotland's First Minister and Parliament will bring forward initiatives, as will Ireland and Wales. Let's have a look. So it's a bit bigger than just Boris Johnson. So let's have a look at what's going on with Johnson. Show me Boris Johnson. How is he managing? How's his government responding? Show me Boris Johnson. Knight of Swords. Okay, so there's a harsh truth emerging. He's challenged by this. The challenge in the challenge position is the Queen of Wands. It's almost like there's a movement against him at the moment that he can't really control. So again, this is beyond political leaders' abilities to control. We do have the Six of Swords, which is a nice foundational card, which tells me that there is a movement out of troubled waters at the end of the day for the UK. That's a healing with that Six of Swords. In the past, we have the Ace of Swords. This is, I always like to refer to this card as my Excalibur, sort of Excalibur card, where the average person has got a chance to pull this sword out of the rock and become the king. So I feel that that within the UK, and I'm not on the ground there, but I think the average person is wanting to do things their own way. There's an equality that is emerging in the UK, and it's a harsh truth about, and I think it is around the haves and the have-nots. But this actually is bringing forward a healing. We have as the potential future, or what's crowning this reading is strength and endurance. Now, these are good cards for the UK. They might have had missteps. There is a huge truth for Boris Johnson to face. He is in a sink or swim situation, and it's not clear what's going to occur with him yet. But the reading's not on that. The reading's on the UK. How are they responding at the moment? I've got two really, really good cards. All right, temperance in the immediate future, balance and healing. So from going from herd immunity to now containment, we are now getting a balanced response today from the UK. The Nine of Wands, people are tired of fighting, basically. They are tired of fighting. They've been fighting Brexit. They've been fighting division for a long time. So this Excalibur means that people are facing, again, my last video was titled The Alternative Reality. They're facing the truth. We've got the Hierophant, which is have faith, higher sources. So something is kicking in the UK that is beyond Boris Johnson. It's coming from the people. And that's where the Justice card comes in. The Two of Swords, in the hopes and fears, the Two of Swords, having to make a decision that perhaps your leadership won't be up to making the right decisions. But look what we've got. We've got the Sun card. Again, there's a movement. There's a movement in the UK going back to basics. The Two of Pentacles, it is a crossroads card in terms of the economy. But we've got the Ten of Cups. People are taking matters into their own hands. The Ten of Cups is coming together. It's unity. It's families, communities helping each other. They're taking this movement could ultimately see the end of Boris Johnson's leadership in some way down the track, because we have the Judgment card, something coming to an inevitable end. We have the Page of Pentacles, this focus on the money, the haves, the have-nots, and we have the Ace of Pentacles, new starts, and Stonehenge, I might add. Something is greater in the UK than Boris Johnson. Okay, that I'm pleased to say. If you look back in history, certainly at World War II and the way the UK responded to that, there's a power in the people that goes beyond Boris Johnson. All right, so let's take a look at. I don't want to make this video too long. Let's take a look at Justin Trudeau. His wife became ill. I think she's doing okay. He is self-isolating. He's closed the borders. I think the reading that I did the other day showed there was some kind of secrecy around a money allocation, a budgetary allocation. There was something there that he was grappling with. And I'm not on the ground in Canada, but let's have a look. Okay, thank you to my Canadian viewers that have sent me through these wonderful, wonderful updates for what's going on in Canada. Also, Canada, I had something from a viewer. Canada's working fairly solidly on a vaccine, making fairly good strides, and bringing out very good information from its labs. Let's have a look at Canada. What's going on in Canada? What's going on in Canada? There's some kind of, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. There's a secrecy there. What's going on in Canada? The Hierophant. Okay, so we've got the government, the parliament, the higher source. Have faith. Great strong card to bring forth straight away. But challenged by the Ace of Swords. There is something here. There's a truth here that the government is being challenged by. The Five of Cups. There's loss and grief here. Not surprising to see those cards. Reactions to loss. We do have the Hanged Man in the past. That is suspension. And the Queen of Wands in the future. A movement. All right, that's potential future. So we do have the strength and endurance. Okay, Canada is, again, I'm pleased to see these cards. There has been perhaps a lack of information coming out of the Canadian government in the early stages of this pandemic. They may have been a bit too slow to start, but we've certainly got good movement and inspiration and strength coming out now as time goes on. Yeah, we do have endings here, and I think this is the big motivation. And the Four of Cups, disappointment, but also focusing not on what you've lost, but on what you've gained or what you have in your hands. This is what I think this reading is showing. There wasn't enough information coming out to begin with. Perhaps the Canadian government knew about this before. Perhaps that's it. But as the crisis has deepened, so has the response, and things are being managed now. We've got the Fool card. That's in the hopes and fears. That's the new beginning. But we also have the Four of Swords. This is retreat. This is the closing of the borders. And we have the Queen of Cups. This can also be revelations. And we've also got the Eight of Swords, restrictions. So the big thing in this reading is that there could have been something that was hidden to begin with regarding this virus. As it has moved on, the response from the government has been quite strong. The closing of the borders and the restriction of movement is actually what the cards are focusing on at the moment. We do have the Knight of Swords, so again, another harsh truth. This could be around budget. We've got the Six of Pentacles, budgetary allocations. We do have some kind of secrecy occurring here, and I can't put my finger on what it is. But Canadians may know what this, I guess, something was hidden. Some kind of truth was hidden. And we do have the Magician actualizing something into reality. But also, again, keeping some sort of information back. So it's hard to know what that secret was, but there is a secret there that was kept, I think, in the early stages. All right, so let's now go to, but the way that the Canadian government is moving now is quite positive. All right, and the restrictions, the closing of the borders, absolutely the right thing to do. Let's go to the EU. I have to not tarry with this reading because my disc isn't almost full on my laptop, so we might just pull a few cards here for the EU, and then we'll go to Australia. I'd like to also look at the Middle East as well, but not today, and Africa and India. Some of those, particularly India, very, very light impact in India. a country with a massive population, and in some parts a very poor third world kind of conditions, yet its numbers are very low. Okay, let's have a look at the EU. Show me very hard hit in the EU. Italy, Spain, Greece, France. Let's have a look. Show me the EU. How is it dealing with this virus? Show me the EU. How is it dealing with this virus? Yeah, it's the density of population that's the problem in the EU, because I just saw a mountain stream, almost like washing things down, washing things clean. All right, Three of Pentacles is it's the first card out. I'm just going to pull four cards to have a look at this. The Three of Pentacles talks about coming together, working together, coming up with solutions, and that's the advantage of being in the EU, because you can actually do that. It's allowing them to also, with this Six of Swords, again I come back to containment, and making sure that we've got self-isolation there as well. It's a fairly strong response from the EU because they've been hit so hard. It looks like it is the right response with that Six of Swords. Absolutely. Retreat, self-isolation, as a result of what's been occurring. I'm getting a real pull to, yeah, they're going to be victorious too. This was needed. The response is so heavy there because basically everything needed to be cleaned up. Pollution levels, it's putting a focus on what is going on environmentally in the EU at the moment. But it looks like their containment measures working together, and isolation is actually going to be victorious for them. They've got the Star of Hope. And when I see the Justice card, I understand that not enough was done to begin with, and they're going to be better prepared next time they know it. They know it, and they're going to do it differently next time. All right, so let's just finally take a look at Australia. A scalable, sustainable result. Are they going to win that battle? Show me Australia. Show me Australia's response. They're introducing scalable, sustainable response. Is this going to prove successful? A scalable, so there's no enforced quarantines. They haven't closed off at the moment. They've said citizens don't travel, but they haven't closed off incomings. But they are instructing a 14-day self-quarantining. Is this scalable, sustainable response? They're keeping schools open. Is this going to work? They're going to be behind the virus. They're going to be chasing it, and that's the position they don't want to be in. We've got the Hierophant, so there is good management at the government level. But is it the correct decision? We've got the Ace of Swords. Again, could mean that they're holding back information, but I know from first-hand experience they're bringing forward a lot of information. They don't want to antagonise their population as well. They don't want to take away freedoms, but I'm wondering whether or not they already have with that Ace of Swords. We'll see. They enacted emergency legislation in the last 24 hours. We do have strength and endurance, and I'm going to pull one more card to clarify that. The Devil. Okay, so that's the greed. I thought this might come up because it's in relation. I'll keep going. It's in relation to the economy. This scalable, sustainable result is trying to protect the economy. Will it be the right? Will it work? The Knight of Swords. There's a harsh truth coming forward there. We've got the Page of Swords. We've got a whistleblower here, spy in the camp. They're holding. Oh wow! I was hoping I wouldn't pull these cards. They're holding something back, basically. And the Ten of Cups. Families. Australians, like residents all around the world, will, to a certain extent, bypass their governments and take matters into their own hands. The strength is not, in one way, coming from our leadership, particularly where leadership is found wanting. The strength is coming from us internally. Justice. Okay, so there is something they're holding back. They're trying to hedge their bets. They're holding some information back. It's going to be a harsh truth coming forward. I think it's still hopeful. We've got the Star of Hope and we've got the Six of Wands. We've got victory. But we've also got the Hanged Man. This could be stopping the virus, but with that Devil card there, it could be this is in the past. It could be that their slowness to respond, too little too late, could be in the past, but I still feel that there is that risk there at this point in time, and I do feel they're holding back some information from us. On a positive note, Strength and Endurance card appears, so does the Star, and so does the Six of Wands, which is telling me that ultimately Australia will get on top of this virus, but I do feel there's going to be a few twists and turns there in the meantime. All right, that's all I've got time to do. I hope you enjoyed that whip around the globe. As I said, it's, this is the most overwhelming situation that's facing us at the moment, and I do feel the need intuitively, at least for this week, to do updates, and I will do that. But when I feel there's a need to read on something else, I will do that also. And I also might give you something light. I've got a draw to read on Meghan and Harry, who are starting their new life in Canada. They've just been to England. I mean, I'll give you that sort of a reading as well. So I'm going to leave it there. Be well, stay well. Thank you.